So for the part 2 of discussion, we will discuss the recognition and measurement of non-exchange transactions. So aside from those, in this video discussion, aalamin din natin kung paano ba nire-record or paano ba ine-entry yung mga other receipts. And kung ano-ano yung mga other receipts na yun. So before we start, recap muna tayo. So let's define first or i-define ulit natin kung ano yung non-exchange transaction. So last time, di ba, dinefine natin yung non-exchange transaction as transactions in which an entity either receives value from another entity without directly giving approximately equal value in exchange, or gives value to another entity without directly receiving approximately equal value in exchange. So meaning, yung amount ng consideration na na-receive natin is not equal sa amount na binigay natin. So pag ganun, it is considered as non-exchange transaction. So ano ba yung mga example ng isang non-exchange transaction? So actually parang nahati siya sa dalawa or dalawang group, which is first is yung tax revenue and second is yung mga transfers. So yung revenues, these are the economic benefits of or service potential compulsory paid or payable to public sector agencies in accordance with laws and or regulations established to provide revenue to the government. Taxes do not include fines or other penalties imposed for breaches of the law. So ano naman yung transfer? So yung transfer, dinefine siya as inflows of future economic benefits or service potential from non-exchange transaction other than taxes. So transfers meet the definition of an asset when the entity controls the resources as a result of past event, which is yung transfer nga, and expects to receive future economic benefits or service potential from those resources. So yung transfers, they satisfy the criteria for recognition as an asset when it is probable that the inflow of resources will occur and their per value can be measured reliably. So in certain circumstances, such as when a creditor forgives a liability, decrease in the carrying amount of a previously recognized liability may arise. So in these cases, instead of recognizing an asset as a result of the transfer, the entity decreases the carrying amount of the liability. So, yung mga transfer, it includes fines, gifts, donations, and goods and services in kind, debt forgiveness, bequests, and grants. So, lahat ng transaction na to are, lahat ng transaction na to, they transfer resources without approximate equal value in exchange and are not taxes but are with condition. So since we already know what is taxes and yung transfer, so let's proceed. So paano ba ang recognition ng non-exchange transaction? So sabi, revenue from non-exchange transactions are recognized on a cash basis until a reliable measurement model is developed. So sabi, yung asset and revenue or liability arising from a non-exchange transaction are recognized kung when collected or when these are measurable and legally collectible. So usually pag na-receive mo na or na-collecta mo na, then that's the time na mag-record ka ng revenue. Sige. So, punta tayo sa tax revenue. So, tax revenue, sabi, is recognized at a gross amount and not reduced for expenses paid through the tax system. Tapos, yung tax revenue rin daw should not be grossed up for the amount of the tax expenditures. So, kailan ba para at what event magre-record na ng tax revenue? So, for income tax, magre-record ka ng revenue kapag naka-earn ka or earning of just taxable income. Pag naman value added tax, yung taxable event will be undertaking of a taxable activity. Pag naman goods and services tax, then kapag naka-purchase ka or nagbenta ka ng taxable goods or services, then record ka ng revenue kasi makakolekta ka dun. Tapos, kapag custom duties, kapag merong movement of the dutiable goods or services across the customs boundary. Yung debt duty naman, which is yung estate tax, kapag may debt of the owner of the taxable property. And lastly is yung property tax, kapag yung taxable event niya is passage of the time period for which the tax is levied. Next, fines and penalties. So, kailan ka magre-recognize ng income? So, sabi, it recognizes income in the year they are collected. Tapos, it will recognize as revenue when the receivable meets the recognition criteria per asset and are measured at the best estimate of inflow of resources to the entity. So, sabi din, note ko lang, an entity collecting fines in the capacity of an agent shall not treat those fines as revenue. So next. Next is yung gifts, donations, and goods in kind. So, for this non-exchange transaction, kailan naman tayo mag-record ng revenue? So, sabi, we will recognize revenue when it is probable that future economic benefits or service potential will flow to the entity. So, kapag yung gifts, donations, and goods in kind, na-receive natin siya without condition, then we can record revenue immediately. Pero, if yung natanggap nating gifts, donations, and goods in kind is merong condition, then we will record or recognize first liability. And then, mag-record lang tayo ng revenue once na na-met na or na-achieve na yung condition. So, example, kunwari, merong private entity, tapos nagbigay siya ng, kunwari, ng lupa sa government agency. Tapos sinabi niya na, itong lupa na to, ang gagawin mo lang dito is terminal. Yun lang. Pag gagawa ka ng terminal, para magkatayo ka ng terminal, ito sa lupang binigay ko. So, pag gano'n, ang gagawin ng government agency na pinagbigyan ng lupa is magre-record mo na siya ng liability. And once magawa na nga niya or magpatay niya na yung terminal, then that's the time na magre-record siya ng revenue. So next is services in kind. So services in kind are not recognized as revenue. Why? It is because due to the uncertainties affecting the entity's ability to control those services and measure them at fair value. So, ano ba example ng isang services in kind? So, example niya is yung mga technical assistance from foreign bodies, community services rendered by persons convicted of offenses, o yung mga volunteer services. So, if it's not recorded as revenue, ano lang gagawin natin? Pag ganun, we will only disclose. So, kapag mayroong services in kind, i-disclose lang natin siya sa notes. Next. So, next na non-exchange transaction is debt forgiveness. So, kapag kunwari si lender na nagpautang kay government entity is parang pinargive niya or sinasabihin niya kay government na okay, wag mo nang bayaran, okay na yung utang mo. Pag ganun, magre-recognize tayo ng revenue. Kasi parang sa book ni government entity, nagkaroon ng reduction ng liability. So dahil nagkaroon ng reduction sa liability, then meron tayong i-record na revenue. So yung revenue, magre-recognize tayo ng revenue equal to the carrying amount of the debt forgiven. However, note ko lang, when a controlling entity cancels the debt of a wholly owned controlled entity, the cancelled debt is treated as contribution from owners and not revenue. So, next na non-exchange transaction is bequest. So, ano ba yung bequest? So, bequest, they are transfers made according to the provisions of deceased person's will. So, paano ba siya? So, ganito siya. Kunwari, mayroong mayamang tao and namatay siya. Pero wala siyang pagmamanahan nung property niya. So, pag ganun, ang mangyayari is, mapupunta yun sa government entity, lahat ng properties nung namatay na yun. Tapos, other case is, kunwari, yung tao nga, meron siyang will and nakalagay sa will niya is magbibigay siya ng lupa, kunwari, sa government entity, then yun yung bequest. So, dahil doon, nagkaroon ng asset si government na wala siyang binibigay in return. So, dahil doon, magre-recognize siya ng revenue. And he will government agency will recognize revenue measured at the fair value of the resources received or receivable. So kung magkano yung property or fair value ng property na marireceive niya, then that's also the amount na i-record natin na revenue. Next, non-exchange transaction is grant with condition. So grant with conditions, same lang naman siya sa donations. Kasi nga, di ba, naalala nyo, dinepend ko yung grant as nung chapter 1, di ba, sabi ko, ang grant is same lang siya sa donation. So, kaiba lang, pagdating kasi sa grant, merong, yun nga, may condition. So, parang, bibigyan ka ni, yan, si donor, bibigay siya, tapos sasabihin niya na, sa ganitong bagay mo lang, parang, sa ganitong bagay mo lang pagamitin yung dinonate ko. So, pag ganun, dahil same lang naman siya sa donations, then maglalagay tayo ng revenue. Kasi nga, nakaka-receive tayo ng asset without giving something in return. So, ganun, i-record lang natin yung revenue only when the condition is satisfied. So, to give you an example regarding sa grants, basahin natin yung sige, basahin natin yung illustration. So, sabi sa illustration, the national government received a foreign grant of 10 million condition on the construction of wait lang. Okay, wait lang. I-touch ko lang ulit yung problem. Nawala pala. So, di ba sabi, si national government daw, nakareceive siya ng foreign grant amounting to 10 million for the construction of a railroad system. So, under the terms of the grant, a construction project should be completed within a period of 2 years from the receipt of the grant. Otherwise, the money shall be returned to the grantor. So, the money daw can only be used as stipulated, and the national government is required to include a note in the financial statement detailing how the money was spent. So, Department of Public Works and Highways or DPWH will be the implementing entity. So, first, gagawin natin is i-record natin yung receipt ng grant. And yung entry para sa yung entry kapag naka-receive tayo ng grant is sa box ni national government, magre-record tayo ng cash in bank, local currency or Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, then other credits. Tapos, kapag naman sa book ni DPWH, ang i-record is cash MDS, special account, tapos credit subsidy pa, national government, which is amounting nga sa 10,000. So, next is kapag naman nag-purchase ng construction materials and payment for labor for the construction of railroad system amounting to 10 million. So, sa book ni wait lang. Dito. So, wait lang. So, ito yung kapag sa book ni National Government or BTR, ang magiging entry natin is subsidy from National Government. Baliktad to dapat. Sorry. So dapat subsidy from National Government, 10 million debit, credit, cash in bank, local currency. Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, 10 million credit. So, ito yung entry natin to recognize replenishment of NDS checks issued or payment of the materials and labor for the construction of a railway system. Tapos, sa book naman ni DPWH, magre-record tayo ng construction in progress, infrastructure asset, debit, then credit, cash, modified disbursement system, special account. So, parang this time, sisimula na nga yung pag-construct. So, after maka-purchase, so susunod na is yung receipt ng report from DPWH for the completion ng construction of a railroad system. So, ano magiging entry nun? So, pag gano'n, yung magiging entry is kapag sa books ni National Government, magre-record tayo, mag-debit tayo ng other deferred credits na 10 million. Then, mag-credit tayo ng income from grants and donations in cash. And lastly, kapag nagkaroon ng turnover and acceptance of completed infrastructure asset, and so pag ganun, magre-record tayo ng entry sa book ni DPWH. And yung entry na i-record natin is debit, railway system, 10,000, then credit, construction in progress, infrastructure asset na 10 million. So, next na non-exchange transaction is pledges. So, ano ba yung pledges? So, pledges, they are unenforceable undertakings to transfer asset to the recipient entity. So, are pledges recognized as revenue? The answer is no. Kasi nga, they do not meet the recognition criteria for asset. Tapos, pero if ever na kunwari, yung pledge item is subsequently transferred to the recipient entity, then, sa time na magre-record tayo ng revenue. Kasi nga, di na siya pledges. Pag ganun, it is considered na as a gift or donation. So, same as to services in kind, dahil hindi sila recorded as revenue, ang treatment lang will be disclosure as contingent assets. So next is concessionary loans. So ano ba yung concessionary loans? So it is defined as loans received by an entity at below market terms. So meaning, kunwari, si government entity, nangutang siya, and yung interest rate na pinautang sa kanya is 2% lang. Pero yung market interest rate is 12%. So pag ganun, dahil parang yung magiging interest payable natin is mas liliit. So dahil nagkaroon ng reduction in liability, dahil nagkaroon ng reduction in liability, then mag-recognize tayo ng revenue. So, yung revenue is, tawag doon, nagre-recognize tayo ng revenue kapag yung difference between the transaction price o yung loan proceeds and fair value ng loan on initial recognition is considered, will be recorded as revenue. So, if hindi, except lang daw if a present obligation exists, in which case the difference is recognized as liability and recognized as revenue only when the obligation is satisfied. Tapos, add ko lang, what if naka-receive tayo ng advance receipts of revenue? So meaning, kunyari sa entity, naka-receive siya ng resources before a transfer arrangement become binding. So pag gano'n, yung resources, re-recognize siya as an asset and they meet the definition and nasatisfy yung criteria for recognition of an asset. And mag-recognize ng liability until the event that makes the transfer arrangement binding occurs. And all other conditions under the agreement are fulfilled. So when the event occurs and all other conditions under the agreement are fulfilled, the liability is discharged and revenue is recognized. So tapos na tayo sa recognition ng non-exchange transaction. So punta naman tayo sa measurement of revenue from exchange transaction. So measurement, pag nag-recognize tayo ng asset o yung mga asset na nag-arise from non-exchange transaction will be measured at the acquisition date fair value. Kapag naman nag-arise ng liability, yung isang non-exchange transaction, then it will be measured at present value when the effect ng time value not of money is material rather. And lastly, kapag yung revenue na mag-arise from non-exchange transaction, it will be recorded at the amount of increase in net assets. Or if nag-recognize ng liability, then yung subsequent amount or yung amount ng subsequent reduction in that liability will be recorded or will be the amount to be recorded as revenue. So, let's talk about naman yung impairment losses and allowance for impairment losses. So, di ba sa business entity, sabi nga sa PFRS 9, di ba required sila na mag-record ng ECL or allowance for bad debts. So, pag ganun, ang mangyayari is, di ba, pag nag-recognize ng allowance for bad debt is, di ba parang mag-record na yun ng, kunyari, wait lang. Parang di ba allowance for bad debt expense, debit, credit, allowance for bad debts. So yung allowance for bad debts, parang, di ba, parang, ano siya, contra asset. And yung i-adjust niya is yung mismong receivable and not the revenue. So same lang naman siya pagdating sa government entity. So yung treatment niya is, pag yung amount na, kapag na in government accounting, kapag yung revenue na na-recognize is almost uncollectible na, magre-recognize tayo ng expense which is yun nga yung impairment losses rather than adjustment to the revenue originally recognized. So pag ganun, nangyari, yung revenue magiging uncollectible na, then magre-record lang tayo ng impairment loss, tapos debit, credit, allowance for impairment losses. So ganun yung gagawin natin. Hindi siya, kunwari, nakakolekta tayo ng, kunwari nag-bill tayo ng 100,000, tapos 80,000 lang, yung 20,000 out of 100,000 is, parang uncollectible. So, ang entry, impairment losses, debit 20,000, credit, allowance for impairment losses 20,000. So hindi siya debit revenue 20,000, credit accounts receivable 20,000. So next. So tapos na tayo sa non-exchange transaction. So punta na tayo sa other receipts. Sige. So remember yung added receipts kasi, ito mga added receipts. So nakatanggap tayo ng pera pero hindi siya parang hindi siya mag-arise from non-exchange transaction nga. Non-exchange. Hindi siya mag-arise through exchange or non-exchange transactions. So yung mga example nga ng other receipts is first yung receipts of subsidy from the national government. Second is yung receipts of subsidy or assistance from other government agencies including LGUs and GOCCs. So these two, magre-recognize tayo ng revenue, pero yung revenue will be from assistance and subsidy. So remember nga, di ba, may tayong entry na subsidy from national government. So remember, di ba, sabi ko that that particular account is a revenue account. So yung other receipts naman, aside from those, meron din tayong receipts, which are receipts of excess cash cash advance granted to officers employees, receipt ng refund of overpayment of expenses, receipts from performance bonds and security deposits, receipts from collections on behalf of other entities, tapos receipts from inter or intra-agency fund transfers. So this kind of receipts will not recognize, we will not recognize revenue. So makakatanggap lang tayo ng pera pero di tayo magre-record or di siya mag-a-arise ng revenue. So sige, let's further elaborate these other receipts. So first, na other receipt is yung mga receipts of subsidy from the national government, which is first nga yung non-cash notice of cash allocation. So I know sobrang familiar na kayo about sa notice of cash allocation. So di ba nga, so pag nagkaroon ng doon tayo sa point ng disbursement authority, nagbibigay si government ng notice of cash allocation, isang government agency as parang ito na yung point kung saan pwede na siyang mag-disperse. So pag ganun, kapag ang entry lang niya will be cash, modified disbursement system, debit, credit, subsidy from national government. So note ko lang, these entries are lifted from the Section 38 ng Chapter 5 ng Volume 1 ng GAM for NGAs. So ito pinakita lang yung kung paano yung entry niya for different funds. Pero all in all, ang entry lang naman for the receipt of NCA is cash, modified disbursement system, debit, credit, subsidy from national government. Next, remember, di ba, apat yung klase na apat yung type na nire-release during disbursement authority. So first nga is yung NCA. Next is NTA or Notice of Transfer of Allocation. Next is yung Non-Cash Availment Authority. So yung definition ng Non-Cash Availment Authorities, ito yung authority issued by the DBM to agencies to cover the liquidation of their actual obligations incurred against available allotments for availment of proceeds from loans or grants through supplies, credit, or constructive cash. So, remember, ito yung, kunwari, ganito siya, si agency A, si entity A, which is a government agency, nakapag-transact siya sa supplier. And instead na si entity A yung sisingilin ni supplier or ni contractor, ang sisingilin niya is si BTR. So, ano yung magiging entry nun kapag nakareceive tayo ng non-cash availment authority? So, the entry will be accounts payable, debit, credit, subsidy from national government. So, inote ko lang, di ba mapapansin nyo, parang same lang naman siya sa entry kapag nakareceive tayo ng notice of cash allocation. So, ano yung difference? Etong nasa debit. Kasi kapag NCA, ang debit natin will be cash. MDS system. Cash MDS. Pero pagdating sa non-cash availment authority, it will be accounts payable. So, bakit ba accounts payable? Kasi nga, this is considered as a direct payment. Direct payment because creditor ng government agency nga is kay Treasury or kay National Treasury maniningil. So, parang ang mangyayari lang is, di ba, bibigyan ni Treasury si government agency ng NCAA. So, pag ganon, wait, di ba, para magbibigay, tapos, pagkabigay niya, si National Treasury na rin yung magbabayad. That's why, kapag naka-receive na ng non-cash availment authority, i-extinguish na yung account, yung payable or yung liability ni government agency. Kasi nga, kapag binigyan siya ng NCAA ni Treasury, meaning, babayaran niya na yung utang ni yung liability ni government agency. So, next is yung cash disbursement ceiling. So, paano ba ulit yung cash disbursement ceiling? So, sabi, yung cash disbursement ceiling, it is the authority issued by the DBM to agencies with foreign operations, allowing them to use the income collected by their foreign service posts to cover their operating requirements. So, remember, ito yung parang, di ba, yung isang government agency na mayroong foreign post. So, ang gagawin, yung nakolekta nila, yun na rin yung gagamitin nilang na pan-disperse sa current operations nila. So, parang hindi na sila nanghihingi ng NCA sa government. So, parang pag meron silang CDC, ang mangyayari is allowed na sila or meron silang authority na gamitin yung collections nila. Gamitin yung collections nila as na panggastos or pang-disperse sa current operations nila. So, ano yung entry kapag nakareceive tayo ng CDC? So, entry niya will be debit, cash collecting officers, tapos credit, passport, and VCPs. So, ito yung entry to recognize collection of revenue. So, normal lang, makaka-receive ka ng pera kasi nag-collect ka ng revenue from foreign service post. So, after nun, magre-recognize ng deposit of collections to authorized servicing bank, which is yung entry will be cash in bank, foreign currency current account, credit, cash collecting officer, cash collecting officers credit. So, mapapansin nyo, di ba, yung deposit, papasok na siya dun sa current account mismo nung government agency. Tapos, kasi di ba, remember, yung general rule is, di ba, kapag yung collection, once nakakollect, dapat i-remit sa National Treasury. Pero in this case kasi, hindi sila bibigyan ng government, parang, di ba, in this case kasi parang hindi na sila manghihingi or hindi sila makaka-receive ng NCA. So, ang mai-receive nila is CDC. So, instead na i-remit, i-deposit na nila yun sa current account or servicing bank ng foreign post nila. Kasi nga, parang, pwede na, yun yung collection nila is, ito na rin yung gagamitin nilang pang disburse. So, syempre, once na meron na tayong pera, dahil pumasok na, i-deposit na nila sa current account nila, then pwede na tayong mag-disburse. Pero wait, bago tayo mag-disburse, recognize natin yung receipt ng CDC from DBM. So, pag ganon, we will debit cash constructive income, remittance, then credit subsidy from national government. So, note ko lang, syempre, hindi laging lahat ng collection natin is pwede lang gamitin sa current operation. So, actually, nakadepende pa rin yun sa GAA, kung ano nakalagay sa GAA. So, for example, nakalagay sa CDC, based na sa GAA, na out of 100,000, o kaya sinabi din sa GAA na parang 80% ng collections mo is pwede mong gamitin for current operations, then 80% lang yung parang 80% lang yung pwede mong gamitin. Yung 20%, it will be remitted back sa National Treasury. So, for this example, kunwari, 80% nga. So, ang 80% ng 100,000 is 80,000. So, pag ganun, maglalagay tayo nga ng cash constructive income remittance na 80,000. And then credit subsidy from national government na 80,000. So note ko lang, di ba? Makikita niyo sa entry cash constructive income remittance. So as if binigyan ka ng cash, kaya constructive income remittance yung gagamitin nating entry. So, eto na, kapag once na meron na tayong pera, then na-deposit na siya sa current account, tapos naka-receive na rin tayo ng CDC. So, pag ganun, pwede tayo mag-disburse. So, kunwari lang to, example lang, disburse, quarter allowance, civilian, debit, and rest building structures, debit. Tapos, gagamitin na natin cash is yung cash in bank foreign currency. So, hindi cash MDS kasi yung cash MDS, ginagamit lang siya or kapag naka-receive tayo ng NCA. In this case, hindi naman tayo naka-receive ng NCA. Pwede na tayo sa mismong cash in bank foreign currency account na currency account yung gagamitin nating pang disburse. So, sa book ni Bureau of Treasury, magiging recording niya will be subsidy to NGAs, debit, credit, cash, constructive income remittance. So this entry is to recognize constructive receipt of remitted collections by foreign service posts and disbursement charge to the issued CDCs to foreign service posts. Next is yung tax withheld by NGA. So I will not further discuss this kasi nga na-discuss ko na siya last time. Pero to give you a recap lang, yung entry niya kapag sa book ni NGA, so kapag naka-receive siya, naka-receive siya ng receipt of NCA, constructive receipt of NCA for TRA. So as if may natanggap siyang NCA na pambabayad niya, pang-remit niya for tax remittance. Pero in essence talaga is wala naman siyang natanggap na cash. So it will be recorded as debit, cash tax remittance advice, credit subsidy from national government. Tapos kapag i-remit niya na yon sa BIR, then debit due to BIR, credit, cash tax remittance advice. So, sa book naman ni BIR, kapag na-receive siya ng TRA, then nasa time na, parang ito na yung point na magre-record siya ng income tax. So, debit, cash tax, remittance advice, credit, income tax. And sa book naman ni National Treasury or ni BTR, mag-record siya ng subsidy to NGAs, debit, credit, cash, tax, remittance, advice. So next, what if naman kapag naka-receive tayo ng subsidy or assistance from NCAs, LGUs, COCCs, and other funds. So, pag gano'n lang, di syempre, una, cash collecting officers kasi nga makakatanggap ng cash yung government agency. And then yung maging credit niya is either subsidy from other NGAs, if yung natanggap nating cash is from other NGAs, o kaya assistance from LGUs or assistance from GOCCs kapag naman yung cash na na-receive natin is from LGUs and GOCCs. And general rule, di ba? Once na may makolek tayo, kaya nating i-limit sa BTR. So, yung entry niya will be cash, treasury, agency deposit, trust, tapos cash, collecting, officers, credit. So, inote ko lang din, di mapapansin nyo, may kanya-kanyang account. Kapag kunyari sa NGA na risk, yung sa NGA, kapag yung cash receipt is from NGA, tapos may sariling account din if galing sa LGUs, and may sariling account din if galing sa GOCCs. So note ko lang din na yung collecting officer should issue OR or official receipt kapag na-receive niya yung subsidy or assistance from NGAs, LGUs, and GOCCs respectively. Tapos, isa pa sa ino-note ko ulit, mapapansin nyo, di ba, cash, treasury, agency deposit, trust, and not regular. Bakit ba trust? Kasi nga, naka-subsidy dito sa'yo. Meaning, this will be returned through NCA by the BTR. So, ibabalik din siya sa government kasi nga, subsidy or assistance lang naman siya. So, next na other receipt is kapag naka-receive tayo ng dishonored checks. So, kunwari, naka-receive tayo ng check from the client and nung na natin, kakolekt na natin, parang dishonor siya. So, meaning parang tumalbog or walang laman, ganun. So, first, kapag naka-receive tayo ng dishonor checks, then ikasal mo natin yung OR due to dishonored checks. So, yung entry niya will be other receivables, debit, credit, cash, treasury, agency deposit, regular. So, parang i-reverse lang natin yung initial recognition yung initial recognition nung na-receive natin yung check. Mga question, bakit po cash, treasury, agency, deposit, regular agad? Bakit po yun po yung naging entry? Ba't hindi po cash collecting officer? So, di ba remember, wait lang. So, di ba kunyari, naka-receive tayo ng check or upon collection ng check. So, ang initial entry doon will be debit, cash collecting officer, credit, receivable or income. And di ba, pag nakakollect na, is i-remit din natin siya sa National Treasury. So pag nag-remit tayo, ang entry niya will be debit, cash treasury agency, credit, cash collecting officer. So pag pinagsama natin yon, makaka-cancel out lang yung cash collecting officer. So parang ang entry niya will be debit, cash treasury agency, credit, receivable, or income. So, dito kasi, nung na-receive na natin dishonor checks, na-remit na natin siya sa National Treasury. And dahil naka-remit na siya sa National Treasury, then ang i-reverse natin na cash will be cash, treasury, or agency deposit regular. So, what if naman po if yung dishonored checks is from prior year? So, possible ba yun? Yes, kasi nga, di ba? At itatawag natin stale checks. So, kunwari, nagkaroon tayo ng checks and di natin siya na-encash within 6 months, then it is considered as stale checks na, di ba? And kapag stale checks, sabihin, kailangan din nating i-reverse. Kasi nga, wala naman tayo, di natin siya na-encash. So, kailangan din natin ulit i-reverse yung cancellation nung receivable. So, yung entry niya will be other receivable, debit, credit, accumulated surplus, or deficit. Ma'am, wait. Bakit po accumulated surplus or deficit account yung i-credit? Bakit hindi yan po cash, treasury, or agency deposit? So, remember, so i-note nyo, word na prior year. And remember, during discussion chapter 3, isa sa mga closing entries natin is yung i-close natin yung cash, treasury, agency deposit regular sa accumulated surplus or deficit. So, dahil prior na siya, ibig sabihin, dahil nga prior siya, ibig sabihin, yung cash, treasury, or agency deposit is na-close na siya sa accumulated surplus or deficit. So in this year, ang i-adjust na natin is yung accumulated surplus or deficit. Kasi nga, wala na yung cash, treasury, agency deposit. So para lang siyang related siya kapag, di ba, may error tayo in prior period errors. So yung mga income or yung mga income statement accounts, so kapag prior year, di na siya sa mismong income or summary accounts ina-adjust sa RE na, di ba? So same case lang naman siya pagdating dito. So dahil na-close na natin yung cash, treasury, agency deposit ng prior year, so this year, i-adjust na lang natin mismo is yung accumulated surplus or deficit. So, as you can see, di ba, parang same lang naman sila ng entry. Na iba lang yung credit kasi etong unang entry, yung na-receive natin dishonor checks this year, tapos ngayon din tayo nag-cancel. While yung second entry naman, kinancel natin yung other receivable, pero yung dishonor check is prior year or na-deposit siya prior year. So, di ba, na-cancel na natin. So, kapag was ma-cancel, nakasit na tayo ng payment, pag na-replace na yung dishonor check, then yung i-record na will be normal cash collecting officer, debit, credit, other receivables. Tapos, dahil nga nakakolekt na tayo or nakolekta na natin yung na-replace na dishonor check, then i-remit na siya ulit. So, same lang or normal na entry, cash, treasury, agency deposit, regular debit, credit, cash collecting officers. So next, what if naman merong cash overage or shortage? So, syempre, pagkas di ba may cash overage or shortage, di naman aamin si collecting officer na may overage or shortage. So, pag ganun kasi, gagawin lang niya, pag may shortage, abano niya muna. And if may overage, hinaya niya lang kasi baka sa susunod na araw may shortage ulit. May shortage ulit. Then, gagamitin niya yung overage. So, kailan lang nalalaman na may cash overage or shortage? So, nalalaman siya during the audit. Kasi nga, doon siya check yung biyabangga yung cash accounted versus sa cash accountability. So doon, nakikita natin kung meron bang shortage or overage. So what if may cash overage? Ano yung magiging entry niya? So entry niya will be debit, cash collecting officers, credit, miscellaneous income. So pag kasi may overage, magiging income ni government yung overage since nag-record siya para since nagkaroon siya ng sobrang cash. Pero 'di ba parang nagkaroon siya ng sobrang cash. That's why magre-record siya ng miscellaneous income. And since nag-record si cash collecting officer, mag-i-issue siya ng OR. Kasi nga as if yung cash overage, it will considered as if na nagkaroon ng collection. Pero yung overage, i-record nga siya under miscellaneous income. And dahil nakakollect ka, dapat mo na siyang i-remit. So that's why entry ng debit, cash, treasury, agency deposit regular, credit, cash collecting officers. What if naman po pag may cash shortage? So pag naman may cash shortage, ang mangyayari naman is entry niya will be debit, due from officers or employees, credit, cash collecting officer. So bakit si collecting officer? Kasi nga nung on hand yung cash na ina-audit is hawak pa yun ni collecting officer. Hindi pa yun nare-remit. And kapag may cash shortage rather, then ang accountable doon is si collecting officer. That's why due from officer and employees. So makaka-receive tayo ng receivable galing kay collecting officer. Tapos, once nga na-record na natin, na-recognize na natin cash shortage, then babayaran na siya ni collecting officer. So kapag nagbayad na siya, then debit, cash collecting officer kasi makaka-receive tayo ng cash due from officers and employees. So ika-cancel na natin yung receivable. Tapos dahil nga parang ito yung nakakolekta tayo. So dahil nakakolekta tayo, parang ito yung magiging collection, itong part na to. Itong entry to, parang as if nagkaroon tayo ng collection, pero galing lang kay collecting officer. And dahil nakakolekt tayo, then kailangan natin siyang i-remit. So, entry ulit, cash, treasury, advance deposit, debit, credit, cash, collecting officers. Next, nagkaroon ng refund of refund of excess cash advances granted to officers and employees. So, before yan, depende natin kung ano yung ibang klase ng advances. So, actually, Visa GAM for NGAs, nagsabi siya ng 4 na klase ng advances. So, first is yung advances to officers and employees. So, ginagamit ng advances na to for official travels. Next naman is advances for operating expenses. And these advances, they are granted to regular disbursing officer for operating expenses of operating or field units and foreign posts not maintaining complete set of books. Next naman is yung advances for payroll. And I think pamilyar na kayo dito. So, itong advances na to, ito yung ginagamit for payment of salaries, wages, and other personal benefits. And last is yung advances to special disbursing officer. So, ginagamit itong advances na to for special purpose or time-bound undertakings. So, itong advances to special disbursing officer, parang same lang naman siya sa advances for operating expenses. So, parang ang difference lang niya is, diba, yung advances for OPEX or operating expenses, di ba ginagamit siya para sa pag-maintain ng ginagamit siya for disbursement kapag hindi nga nagme-maintain ng complete set of books. Pero sa ano kasi sa SDO, yung accountable officer, ibibigay yung pera, parang magbibigay sa'yo ng pera, pero may specific purpose or reason doon. So, kunwari, may special event. And since di naman part ng operations yung event na yon, so kunwari, Christmas party, ganun, di naman siya normal, di naman siya part ng normal operations ng government agency. So, yung mga expenses na ma-disburse related sa event na yon is papasok siya dito sa advances for special disbursing officer. So, since alam na natin iba't ibang klaseng advances, so refer na tayo sa entry. So, paano ba i-entry or ano yung entry sa refund of excess cash advances granted to officers and employees? So, pag may refund, siyempre, dahil nga may sumobra, so hindi nagamit lahat yung advance na binigay sa atin, then makaka-receive tayo ng cash. So, cash, collecting officers, debit. Tapos, i-credit natin yung advances. So, depende yun kung anong klaseng advances yung gagamitin natin. So, kunwari, mayroong excess ng cash advance sa payroll, then advances for payroll yung i-credit natin. Habang naman yung advances is related sa, kunwari, sa travel expenses, so it will be credit sa advances to officers and employees. So, pag ganun, tatanggalin lang natin yung advances. So, parang ika-cancel na natin or i-recognize na yung advances. So, next is once na ma-receive na natin yung ma-receive na natin yung refund, then kailangan natin siyang i-remit. So, entry niya will be cash, treasury, or agency deposit. So, depende na lang if regular, special account, or trust. Tapos, credit sa cash collecting officers. So, if naalala nyo, may ganito tayo example, no? Nagsasagot tayo ng sample problem, no? Chapter 3. May doon transaction, di ba, na nagkaroon ng refund doon sa may travel expenses kasi parang, for example, I don't remember the amount, pero kunwari, di ba, parang 10,000 yung cash advance or travel expenses, pero 7,000 lang yung na-liquidate. So, yung 3,000, kailangan siya i-remit pabalik. And yung entry nga doon will be cash. Yun nga, yung unang initial entry is cash, collecting officer, debit, credit, advances to employees and officers. And then, once na makuha na natin yung refund, kailangan na siyang i-remit pabalik sa treasury. So, debit, cash treasury, agency deposit, credit, cash collecting officers. Next is yung performance bond or security deposit. So, ano ba yung meaning nun? So, yung performance bond daw is a security deposit required from a contractor or supplier to guarantee the full and faithful performance of the contract. So, parang ganito siya. So, yung performance bond or security deposit, parang galing siya sa may, ang mag-issue nun is yung contractor or supplier. So, kunwari, si government agency, nakipagkontrata siya kay third party, which is yung contractor nga or yung supplier. Tapos, parang sa agreement nila, para nilagay nila sa agreement nila, para ma-ensure lang na gagawin talaga ni contractor or supplier yung napagkasundo nila sa kontrata, hingi yung government agency na security deposit kay contractor or supplier. So, di naman siya i-deposit sa atin. I mean, 'di ba hindi sa atin talaga or di siya consider as payment eh. So ibibigay lang talaga natin i-deposit lang talaga sa atin yung pera, tapos once na ma-fulfill na nung contractor or supplier yung napagkasunod sa contract, then ibabalik na natin pabalik sa kanya yung dineposit niya. So siguro yung same case dito is yung security deposit pagdating sa leases or pag nagrerenta ka or magre-rent ka. So, di ba minsan may binibigay mo ng security deposit during the lease contract para lang ma-ensure na babayaran mo talaga yung rent kapag parang ma-ensure mo nga yung tawag doon. Para ayun nga, parang sa binibigay para ma-ensure lang na parang magbabayad ka, ganun. And di ba once matapos na yung lease term, binabalik din pabalik yung security deposit. So, yung entry niya will be cash collecting officers, credit, guarantee, security deposit, payable. So, kapag na-receive tayo ng performance bond or security deposit, then it will be considered as liability. Kasi nga, ibabalik din natin yung security deposit or performance bond. Tapos, di ba general rule, once na nakakolekta tayo, i-remit na natin. So, ang entry niya will be cash, treasury, agency deposit, trust, credit, cash collecting officer. So, note ko lang, bakit trust, bakit hindi regular? So, kaya siya trust kasi nga, hindi yan sa government. So, naka-interest lang siya sa atin. It is not the revenue of the government that should accrue to the general fund, but to trust fund lang since it is our liability to our contractor. So next, refund of overpayment of expenses. So dito naman, ang nangyari is nagbayad ng sobra si government for the payment ng expenses. So ano yung entry niya? Siyempre, cash collecting officer, debit, credit, specific expense account. Kasi nga, i-refund natin or i-refund natin yung overpayment na nagawa natin. And once makakolekta tayo, i-remit na natin. So, entry will be cash, treasury, agency deposit, depende kung saang fund siya papasok, then credit, cash collecting officers. Next, paano if nagkaroon ng collections made on behalf of another entity or non-government private organization? So dito parang meron tatlong entity. Parang tatlong entity. So government agency A, government agency B, and si payor. So si payor dapat magbabayad siya kay government agency A. Pero ang nangyari, kay government agency B siya nagbayad. So si government agency B, kailangan niya ibigay dapat niya ibigay yung collection na natanggap niya kay payor kay agency A. Kasi nga, hindi naman taga sa kanya yun. So parang siya lang nag-collecta in behalf of agency A. So paano ba magiging entries niya? So kunwari, kaya si entity A, siya yung nakolekta on behalf of UP, LRF, isang national government agency. So yung entry niya will be cash collecting officers, debit, credit due to NGAs. So, kapag kasi di ba makakolekta ng cash, so magre-recognize ka ng liability. Kaya due to NGA kasi payable mo siya kay UP, LRF. Kasi nga hindi naman talaga sa'yo yung collection eh. ibibigay mo, parang kinolekta mo lang siya ang BIAP mo, tapos ibabalik mo din kay UP o ibibigay mo din kay UP LRF. That's why magre-recognize tayo ng liability. Tapos, di ba, nag-collect na tayo. So, kapag nag-collect na tayo, di ba, need na natin siyang i-remit. Pero di naman sa'yo yun. So, that's why yung magiging yung entry niya will be due to NGAs, credit, cash collecting officers. Eh ma'am, okay ma'am, dahil hindi naman siya naka-debit sa cash treasury agency deposit. So parang ang nangyari po ba is di talaga ikaw yung nag-remit. So parang binigay mo lang kay UPCF yung na-collect mo. The answer is no. Actually, ikaw pa rin yung nag-remit. Pero sa account lang ni UP LRF. Kasi pag ginamit mo yung cash treasury agency deposit na account, meaning sa account mo papasok yung collection na niremit mo. Pero dahil hindi naman talaga siya sa'yo, so hindi mo gagamitin yung account na yun. Ang gagamitin mo will be due to NGAs. So, sa book ni BTR, kolekta niya, normal lang, they cash in bank, local currency savings account, debit, credit, cash, treasury agency, deposit, trust. And kapag yun, makikita nyo sa may book ni UP LRF books, andito yung cash, treasury, agency, deposit. Tapos, magre-recognize lang siya or i-credit niya sa trust liabilities. So, next is intra-agency fund transfer. So, ano ba difference ng intra-fund agency? Yung intra sa inter-agency. So, intra within the entity. So, meaning from head office to branches or vice versa. So, pag ganun, then, pag nakareceive tayo, di syempre, cash collecting officer kasi nakareceive tayo, tapos due to kung anong office o kaninong office natin siya natanggap. So, if kay central office, then kay central office. Kapag sa mga operating units, then due to operating units. And then, dahil nakakolekta tayo, it should be remitted. And entry niya will be cash, treasury, agency deposit, trust, credit collecting officers. Next, and last is yung inter-agency fund transfer. So, pag inter-agency naman is within agency. So, naka-receive tayo or nag-transfer from one agency to another agency. So, same lang siya sa intra. Ang difference lang naman is yung due to yung payable account. Kasi nga, ipapapas nyo sa intra, makita nyo na within the entity to yung central office, due to bureaus, due to regional offices. Pero pag inter, due to NGAs, due to LGUs, or due to GOCCs. Kasi nga, ang transact mo na or yung transfer is between one agency to another agency. So, dahil nakakolekta tayo ng receipt, it will be remitted. And the entry will be cash, treasury agency deposit, trust, and cash collecting officers credit. And that ends our discussion for Chapter 4, Revenue and Other Receipts.